a frail alien girl huddled in a dark corner of the derelict space station, her sobs echoing through the empty halls. She prayed to a dozen indifferent gods to save her from the ruthless slavers, but hope faded as she heard the heavy, booted footsteps of a human echoing down the corridor. Her race had abandoned this station, fleeing like cowards when pirates attacked, leaving her behind without a second thought. All civilized species warned that humans were violent predators who would eat any small creature they encountered. Now, one was coming for her, a grizzled mercenary with a massive pulse rifle and cold, predatory eyes. The young Zephyrian girl trembled, certain she was about to meet a brutal end, devoured by a savage beast. But Jason O'Ail was no ordinary human. A former soldier and hardened mercenary, he was rough around the edges, but not a heartless killer of innocent children. He had come to this station expecting a routine salvage mission, a big payday. Instead, he found a terrified alien child and something else lurking in the shadows, something big, hungry, and merciless. Leaving the girl behind would have been easy, but Jason had a soft spot for the helpless and innocent. His human instinct to protect the vulnerable kicked in. Without hesitation, he scooped up the trembling Zephyrian girl in his arms as heavy footsteps thundered closer. The creature hunting them had caught their scent. Heart pounding, Jason sprinted down the darkened corridor, the child clinging to him for dear life. A guttural roar echoed behind them, spurring them to move faster. Ahead, a heavy blast door offered a moment's respite. Jason slammed his fist against the control panel, the metal barricade screeching closed, just as a massive shadow fell across it. He knew it wouldn't hold for long against the monster's strength. Catching his breath, Jason scanned the dimly lit passage, spotting the outline of an escape pod nestled in an alcove. That was their ticket out of this hellhole. Another bone-chilling roar ripped through the air, the sound of claws rending metal not far behind. Jason raced to the pod, yanking open the hatch, but his hopes plummeted as he saw the interior slick, with leaking coolant, the acrid stench filling the cramped space. Frantically, he set to work, one hand still cradling the girl, as the other fumbled to patch the ruptured line. The bellow of the creature grew louder, claws screeching against the sealed blast door. Jason's hands shook as he desperately tried to stem the flow of coolant, each passing second an eternity. Just as the monster started to tear through their flimsy barrier, the final seal locked into place. Not wasting a precious moment, Jason strapped the girl securely into the pod before clambering in himself. The escape pod shuddered as it ejected from the derelict station, the force knocking the breath from his lungs. Through the tiny rear porthole, Jason caught a fleeting glimpse of the creature as it burst into the room. A behemoth of rippling muscle, razor-filled maw snarling beneath crimson eyes that glowed with primal hunger. As the pod spun away, tumbling into the cold embrace of space, adrenaline still surged through Jason's veins. He turned to the terrified girl. "It's all right. You're safe now," he soothed, though his words sounded hollow even to his own ears. The girl remained silent, wide eyes haunted by the horror she had witnessed. Swallowing hard, Jason turned his attention to the pod's navigation console, praying for a spaceport or friendly vessel nearby. His heart sank as he saw the telltale flicker of a fried system, the screen distorted and unresponsive. Frustration and exhaustion settled heavily on Jason's broad shoulders as the pod spun lazily through the empty expanse. A faint glow caught the corner of his eye. Frowning, he turned to see an intricate pattern of tattoos etched across the girl's slender arm, the alien markings shimmering softly in the dim cabin light. Questions swirled in Jason's mind. What did these strange symbols mean? What secrets lay hidden behind the little girl's haunted gaze? As the pod drifted aimlessly through the cold expanse of space, Jason and the girl huddled together, conserving what meager supplies remained. The mercenary carefully rationed their food and water, ensuring the young alien received the larger share. In the long hours of silence, broken only by the soft hum of the pod's life support systems, Jason attempted to bridge the language barrier between them. With gentle patience, he pointed to objects within the pod, enunciating their names clearly. "Water," he said, holding up a canteen. "Food," he gestured to a protein bar. The girl watched intently, her large eyes focused on his every move. Slowly, she began to mimic his words, her alien tongue stumbling over the unfamiliar syllables. As days turned into weeks, a bond formed between the unlikely companions. Jason found himself fiercely protective of the little girl, his gruff exterior softening in her presence. He taught her simple games to pass the time, drawing pictures on the fogged walls of the pod to illustrate his stories. One day, As they sat huddled together, the pod's proximity alert blared to life, startling them from their quiet reverie. Jason's heart raced as he peered out the small porthole, his eyes widening at the sight before him. A massive ship loomed into view, its hull bristling with weaponry. It dwarfed their tiny escape pod, a behemoth of metal and might. Sci-Fi and Jason breathed, recognizing the distinctive markings on the vessel's exterior. A mixture of relief and apprehension churned in his gut as the ship's tractor beam locked onto their pod, pulling them inexorably towards its cavernous hangar bay. As the pod settled onto the hangar floor, with a metallic clang, Jason's grip tightened on the girl's small hand. The hatch hissed open, revealing a squad of heavily armed Zephyrian soldiers, their faces grim and unreadable. The leader stepped forward, a scarred warrior with cold, assessing eyes. He barked orders in a harsh, guttural language that Jason couldn't understand. The mercenary tensed, his body coiled and ready to fight to protect the girl at any cost. But before he could make a move, the little girl let out a cry of recognition. She tore free from Jason's grasp, rushing towards the imposing Zephyrian leader. To Jason's utter shock, the soldier's stern facade crumbled as he swept the girl into his arms, holding her close. Realization dawned on Jason as he watched the reunion unfold. The girl was no ordinary child, she was royalty, the daughter of a high-ranking Zephyrian official. The pieces fell into place: the derelict station, the vicious attack, the creature that hunted them. It had all been an attempt to kidnap her, likely by rebels or enemies of her family. Before Jason could fully process this revelation, he found himself surrounded by Zephyrian soldiers. Despite the girl's protests, they roughly seized him, their grip unyielding, as they dragged him away from the hangar bay. As he was led through the ship's corridors towards the brig, Jason caught snippets of their conversation, his translator struggling to keep up. Human. Dangerous. Carnivore, the word stood out, laced with fear and suspicion. Jason's heart sank as he realized the extent of the Zephyrians' mistrust towards his kind. What fate awaited him among these aliens who seemed to view humans as little more than savage beasts? The cell door slammed shut behind him, leaving Jason alone in the cold, sterile brig. He couldn't shake the sense of dread that settled in his bones. He had risked everything to save the girl. But now, surrounded by hostile aliens who feared and despised him, he wondered if his act of compassion would be his undoing. The cell's cold metal walls closed in around Jason as he paced, his boots echoing on the hard floor. Worry gnawed at his gut, twisting his insides. What were they doing to the girl? Was she safe? Suddenly the ship lurched, throwing him off balance. Alarms shrieked, red lights flashing. The deck shuddered beneath his feet as explosions boomed in the distance. The Zephyrians were under attack. The force field imprisoning Jason flickered, then died as the power cut out. He didn't hesitate. Bolting from the cell, he raced down the smoke-filled passageways, searching desperately for the girl. Zephyrian crew members rushed past him, some heading towards the chaos, others fleeing. A group of soldiers spotted Jason and raised their weapons, shouting in their guttural language, but the ex-soldier was too quick. He charged forward, disarming the first with a brutal strike to the elbow. The second fired, the shot grazing Jason's shoulder as he spun, slamming his fist into the alien's jaw. Bone crunched, and the Zephyrian crumpled. Heart pounding, he sprinted towards the bridge, praying the girl was there. As the doors hissed open, Jason froze, horror washing over him. Bodies littered the floor, Zephyrian officers and crew slaughtered, blood pooling beneath them, the metallic tang thick in the air. A soft whimper drew his gaze. There, huddled in the corner, was the girl, her small frame trembling. Her father lay at her feet, eyes staring sightlessly at the ceiling. On the view screen, a fleet of smaller ships swarmed, their hulls marked with a symbol that sent ice through Jason's veins, a crimson claw. Just like the creature from the station, the rebels had come for her. Jason's heart pounded as he took in the chaotic scene. The rebels had struck with ruthless precision, leaving devastation in their wake. He quickly assessed the situation, knowing time was running out. Moving swiftly, he scooped up the terrified girl, her small hands clutching his jacket as she buried her face in his shoulder. "We need to get out of here," Jason whispered, his voice firm yet gentle. The girl nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks but understanding the urgency. He moved towards the control panel, hoping to find a way to escape the doomed ship. The view screen continued to show the rebel fleet, their ships closing in with deadly intent. Jason's fingers flew over the console, accessing the ship's navigation and propulsion systems. He needed to find an escape route, a way to outmaneuver the rebels. The ship's structural integrity was compromised, and he knew they had mere minutes before it would be torn apart. The girl clung to him, her fear palpable, but her presence gave him a renewed sense of determination. "Hang on. We're going to make it," Jason assured her, even as doubt gnawed at him. He found the coordinates for an emergency escape pod and initiated the launch sequence. The ship shuddered violently, another explosion rocking the hull as the rebels intensified their assault. With the girl secured in his arms, Jason sprinted through the debris-laden corridors, the ship groaning and creaking under the strain. They reached the escape pod just as a massive explosion tore through the ship, the force of the blast throwing them off their feet. Jason shielded the girl with his body, feeling the searing heat and the shockwave of the explosion. He struggled to his feet, every muscle screaming in protest, but he couldn't afford to stop now. He dragged himself and the girl into the pod, sealing the hatch behind them. "We're almost there," Jason reassured the girl, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. He could see the edge of the asteroid field, a safe haven beyond the chaos. With one final, desperate maneuver, he guided the pod out of the field, the rebel ship struggling to follow. The view screen showed open space, the danger behind them for now. Jason allowed himself a moment of relief, his body slumping back in the seat. The girl looked at him with a mixture of awe and gratitude, her fear slowly giving way to a glimmer of hope. He managed a reassuring smile, reaching out to gently squeeze her hand. "We made it," he said, his voice filled with quiet triumph. "We're safe," the girl nodded, a small smile breaking through her tears. Jason knew their journey was far from over, but in that moment, they had won a small victory against the odds. He vowed to protect her, no matter what dangers lay ahead. As they drifted through space, Jason's mind raced with plans. They needed to find a safe place, to regroup and figure out their next move. The rebels wouldn't give up easily, and they would be relentless in their pursuit. He had to stay one step ahead, to keep the girl safe and to uncover the truth behind the attack. Jason accessed the pod's navigation systems, searching for a nearby spaceport or friendly vessel. The coordinates of a neutral outpost appeared on the screen, a potential refuge. He set a course, the pod's engines humming as they propelled them towards their destination. The girl leaned against him, exhaustion finally overcoming her fear. Jason held her close, his mind focused on the challenges ahead. He had survived countless battles, faced unimaginable dangers, but protecting this innocent child felt like his greatest mission yet. The bond they had formed in such a short time gave him a renewed sense of purpose. The pod approached the neutral outpost, the structures coming into view against the backdrop of space. Jason activated the docking sequence, guiding the pod into the hangar bay. As the pod settled, he unstrapped himself and the girl, preparing to face whatever awaited them. He knew the outpost was a temporary haven, a place to gather their strength and plan their next move. Stepping out of the pod, Jason felt a wave of relief and determination. The girl clung to his side, her trust in him unwavering. They had escaped the immediate danger, but the fight was far from over. Jason scanned the hangar, his senses alert for any sign of threat. He had to be vigilant, to stay ahead of the rebels and protect the girl at all costs. As they made their way through the bustling outpost, Jason kept a watchful eye, his hand never straying far from his weapon. They found a safe place to rest, a quiet corner where the girl could sleep and regain her strength. Jason stayed awake, his mind racing with plans and contingencies. He knew the rebels would come for them, but he was ready. The outpost inhabitants were a mix of species, each with their own stories and struggles. Jason sought out allies, individuals who could help them in their fight against the rebels. He found a few sympathetic ears, beings who understood the gravity of their situation and were willing to assist. Days turned into weeks as Jason and the girl settled into a routine, always on guard but finding moments of peace. The girl began to open up, her laughter a rare but precious sound in the midst of their turmoil. Jason taught her how to defend herself, to be strong and resilient. She learned quickly, her determination mirroring his own. News of the rebellion spread, and Jason knew it was only a matter of time before they would be forced to confront their enemies again. Months passed as they continued their relentless pursuit of justice. They disrupted rebel supply lines, liberated captured Zephyrian colonies, and gathered a small but loyal group of allies. Jason's reputation as a protector of the innocent spread across the galaxy, inspiring hope in the oppressed and fear in the hearts of their enemies. One day, a coded message reached Jason from an old comrade. The message contained vital information about the rebel leader's secret stronghold, a heavily fortified base hidden deep within a nebula. It was the heart of their operations, the place where they planned their most devastating attacks. Jason knew this was their chance to end the rebellion once and for all. Gathering their allies, Jason and Lyra prepared for the final assault. The journey to the nebula was perilous, but their resolve never wavered. As they approached the rebel stronghold, Jason gave a rousing speech to their assembled forces. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every innocent soul threatened by these rebels. We stand together, united by our courage and our unwavering commitment to justice. Let's end this tyranny once and for all. The battle that ensued was fierce and chaotic. Jason and Lyra led the charge, their skills honed by months of relentless training and combat. They fought their way through the rebel defenses, their allies at their sides, determined to reach the heart of the stronghold. The rebels, though numerous and well-armed, were unprepared for the sheer tenacity and skill of Jason's forces. In the heart of the base, Jason and Lyra confronted the rebel leader, a cunning and ruthless figure named Varric. The room was filled with the hum of energy weapons and the tension of the final showdown. Varric sneered, confident in his control over the situation. "You think you can defeat me, human? You and your little ally are nothing compared to the power I command." Jason stepped forward, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "This ends now, Varric. You've terrorized and oppressed innocent people for too long. We're here to put a stop to your tyranny." The battle was intense, with Jason and Lyra fighting side by side against Varric's elite guards. Their movements were fluid, their teamwork seamless. Jason's strength and experience complemented Lyra's agility and quick thinking. They fought with everything they had, knowing that the fate of countless lives depended on their success. In the end, it was Lyra's ingenuity that turned the tide. Using the knowledge she had gained from their journey, she hacked into the base's systems, creating a massive power surge that disabled Varric's defenses. With a final, decisive strike, Jason and Lyra brought Varric to his knees. As the rebel leader lay defeated, Jason looked around at the remnants of the battle. The stronghold was in ruins, but the rebellion was broken. He turned to Lyra, pride and relief evident in his eyes. "We did it, Lyra. We stopped them." Lyra smiled, the weight of their journey lifting from her shoulders. "We couldn't have done it without each other." "Thank you, Jason." The aftermath of the battle saw the galaxy beginning to heal. The Zephyrian government, grateful for Jason and Lyra's bravery, extended a hand of friendship and cooperation to other species. Peace talks began, and the hope of a unified galaxy seemed within reach. Jason and Lyra, their mission complete, found themselves at a crossroads. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious, but their journey had also forged an unbreakable bond. As they stood together, looking out at the stars, Jason spoke softly. "We've been through so much, Lyra. What do you say we keep going, helping those in need wherever we can?" Lyra nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "I'd like that, Jason. Together we can make a difference." And so, they set off into the vast expanse of space, ready for new adventures and challenges. Their story of courage, friendship, and justice became legend, inspiring countless others to stand up against tyranny and fight for a better future. Jason and Lyra, the unlikely duo who changed the course of history, continued their journey, always ready to protect the innocent and bring hope to the darkest corners of the galaxy.